I wanted to give you guys a quick video, merely an FYI, to a prophecy that I had spoken about 3 years ago. And it's regarding a prophecy that Bob Jones gave regarding the Kansas City Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. Now, I spoke about that in 2020 because when I heard the prophecy from Bob Jones, it bore witness with my spirit. I believed the prophecy. I don't know how to explain it. I just knew this was prophetic. It was from God. Now, I've never heard the original one other than repeats. Rick Joyner, who was with Bob Jones at that time, his wife, repeats of the prophecy, which the prophecy is this. I'll say it. When the Kansas City Chiefs went to the Super Bowl and won, that year would be when revival would hit. That stadiums would be filled. Such revival would happen. And the Apostolic Chiefs in the church would come forth and be brought out. That was a prophecy. Now, so much to the point to where if you want to consider what brings forth the Apostolic Chiefs compared to the Apostolic Chiefs we supposedly have out there. Real ones are going to come forth, folks. Real ones are going to come forth according to this prophecy. Now, I want to be very careful here. This is not my prophecy. I didn't see this. I simply pointed to this because I knew when I heard it, it was true. Now, for a little history, it was 1970 that the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl. 50 years later, a whole Jubilee cycle, 50 years later, the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl again, 2020, which is where I started saying ding, 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 because I knew the prophecy to be true. That's all I could do. Now, what is more common than not, and happens even in the Bible, folks, even back in biblical times to today, more common than not is a misplacement of a prophecy. In other words, the prophecy is true, but placement of the prophecy gets messed up. We incorrectly place it. Nothing wrong with the prophetic word, just the placement or the timing of where we think that word should go. So what I want to tell you here, to be very careful and to pray into, a couple things here I want you to see. Yeah, I was saying, because it had been 50 years, folks, a whole Jubilee cycle, 50 years since the Kansas City Chiefs had won the Super Bowl. So I thought when they won, this was that. That year would be the year, I thought, back in 2020. And I said I did a video, in fact, it's still on the channel. I did a video on it. That would be the year of revival. And what was important about it, here's where I want you to pray. Revival, folks, doesn't just happen, right? We don't just everybody's going to fill up stadiums. Why would stadiums just fill up, folks? I want you to pray about this. What brings revival? What's going to make us hit our knees? Why would America do that? Why would the Apostolic Chiefs come forward in the church and all this else would follow? What causes that? Revival doesn't just happen. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I want you to pray and watch this. Be aware of where we're headed. If this is that year. Now, I'm not saying, again, it's not my prophecy, folks. I mean, I'm not saying the Chiefs can't win next year. Will they win next year? Again, it's not my prophecy. But what I find even more interesting that I'm not going to get into is 50 years between wins. 1970, 2020, a Jubilee cycle, then 3 years later. There's meaning in this. I'm going to put a link down below that is going to take you to Bob Jones' wife, where she discusses the prophecy that her late husband, who's went on to be with the Lord, he's no longer here, this prophecy, she discusses it. However, she sees things that I'm seeing differently. I see something else. I see something more. Let's say that. I see something else that I'm not going to discuss. I've talked about it with a few people in email and on the phone. I'm going to leave it at that. But I want you to pray into this. Consider it. Watch it. Ask yourself, if this is that year, what is going to bring revival and make us fill stadiums? Be ready, folks. Look for more to come. Until next time, take care and God bless.